All right. Well, next we've got to talk then about, it might not be weekly, but it'll be most weeks now. Marco Rossi trade possibilities. I do not want him traded. Let's be clear. I am trying to speak this out of existence. I'm trying to reverse jinx this shit. And hey, if we come up with a couple of like soft landings where fans would be okay with a trade, then at least we can like kind of cope together. But this is not me advocating for a trade. This is me saying Bill Guerin seems like he doesn't want to keep Marco Rossi around. So let's come up with ways that we could not totally hate our lives when it happens. And mine actually came from Z's boy Cam Robinson making his video post about how there's whispers that Dallas might want to go after Evgeny Malkin. We got LTIR for Sagan. That makes the money work. They have, obviously you'd have to throw in some draft picks. They've got young studs like Wyatt Johnston. They've got, Logan Stankoven, whatever. If you're willing to part with those kind of pieces, maybe it's Thomas Harley, whatever. But I don't get the vibe, and he made this same comment. Like, Malkin probably doesn't want to go to Dallas. Doesn't know anyone there. Comfortable in Pittsburgh. Totally content retiring in Pittsburgh, even though he's frustrated right now with how the team's playing. I replied and basically said that I will see his Sagan LTIR and raise him a Brodin LTIR. This being contingent on Brodin actually going forward with surgery, which I know has been discussed as a possibility. If he goes on LTIR and you have more than enough then to bring Malkin in, we are probably, I would say, I got to think we are the number one destination if Malkin could pick where he went. Maybe, I don't know if the hate runs deep enough or what it would be. I'd be interested to know if he wants to go to Washington and like center Ovechkin as he breaks the record. I don't know if they're boys or if they hate each other at this point, where that sits. But Billy Guerin and Marc-Andre Fleury here make it real easy and comfortable for him to come over. Plus being guaranteed to center Kirill Kaprizov. I think Malkin is willing to waive. Marco Rossi is immediately the guy that you have to have be kind of the front of that trade. What do you think needs to be included? Or is it just a 1-for-1 if it's Rossi and Malkin? Like, what do you think a trade looks like that is centered on Marco Rossi and Evgeny Malkin?
It's so tough to gauge because I'm at the point now where I actually have no idea what other teams, like how they value Marco Rossi. And along with that, if you're parting ways with Marco Rossi, not getting anything that would like be around in 3 or 4 years, really, like the first time you've gone out and like really drafted a guy like Rossi who could potentially be a top 6 center for years and years and years in Minnesota, had the pedigree
the
coming
2022
in.
draft, but
no, I'm saying like at the time, like, yeah, God damn it. Like the fact, like the idea of parting ways with Marco Rossi and then not getting anything future related.
Sure.
I don't like that. Evgeny Malkin would be a very fun player to have here. And the fact that he's still producing ridiculous offense, and the fact that, like, yeah, like you were mentioning, like the guys he could be playing with, the fact that Billy Garrett's here, the fact that him and Fleury are absolute boys. And he literally tweeted the crying emoji when Fleury was taken by Vegas in the expansion draft. It's a fun fit that makes sense. Like, it's just so weird. It's so weird to think
but also, like, this isn't
I could see both teams being like, I want more.
Right, but that's what makes it a good trade. It's just like the freaking Zucker trade. Both teams are like, I don't think we got enough. That's when you know it's a fair trade. And it'll be the exact same scenario too, where like I was so conflicted when that trade happened. I loved Zucker, loved Addison. Seeing them switch places was like jarring, but at the same time, I bought both jerseys right away. And I would absolutely do the same thing here. This would be that on steroids. And Evgeny Malkin is not some like dwindling old man. Like he's got at least like this year and another year of good hockey in him. Like the guy is a difference maker when he's on his game, and him and Kaprizov could be terrifying. And the reason you do this is one, Guerin's not keeping Rossi. He's made the decision. He's moving on, and you want to push the chips in quick. This solves both those things and gets you like a reasonable value. And again, it's not going to hurt ticket sales to bring Evgeny Malkin in here for 2 or 3 years. Like that works well. It gives you time to usher in Yurov, gives you yet another guy to mentor in Danila Yurov. I just could see that working for so many reasons. And again, Marco Rossi going in as a young center to like begin Kyle Dubas's youth movement over there makes a ton of sense too. I don't know. It just makes way too much sense to me if Brodin went on LTIR and you wanted to make that kind of swing. Of course, we both know it'll end up being Brock Nelson instead of Evgeny Malkin, but whatever. But I would like, I am a Penguins fan and I definitely want to see the Wild succeed. I fully sign off on this trade for both sides. To your point, both sides would want more. That tells me it's a good deal. Throw in a pick or something for either side if you think that it's tilted slightly, but I like if Rossi has to leave and if Malkin's leaving Pittsburgh, I love this.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like the big thing that we always mention, if it really is a foregone conclusion that the Marco Rossi trade's happening, if that's happening in season, you have like that cannot be a trade that you make only to get futures,
right?
You know, so it would have to be someone that immediately steps in and plays 1 or 2C. Like it has to be.
Yep.
So in that realm, it makes sense. It's just so funny because like one's very young, one's for like
Malkin
a pro
looks
athlete,
younger.
Very old. Yeah, I know, right? One is like,
did I show you that picture that
Marco
I made?
Rossi's 5'10". Like, it's so funny how like so much about them is different, and yet like you're trying to figure out who would be asking for more in a trade. It's just so funny.
I need to find this now. Did I ever show you the image that I made of when we were talking about it? You're like, I need to see Malkin's face on Hoppy's baby's body.
Oh God.
Did I ever show you what I made?
No.
Now I need to find, oh, here it is. I'm going to real quick. All right. Take a second and continue talking while I get this exported, but I'm going to re-add this here and throw it on the screen because it's fantastic.
Yeah. All right. So while you do that, every time, since this is going to end up becoming a somewhat regular thing that happens, or like a segment,
Potentially,
I cannot emphasize enough, unless the return is so lopsided in Minnesota's favor, regardless of what the return is, I will feel very uneasy and not great about a Marco Rossi trade in any way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. Again, unless it's like, oh, it's McDavid for Rossi 1-for-1. Obviously not that specifically, but like if it's that lopsided, then it's like, okay, you have to do that. Oh my God. Why is it look insane, but also not as horrific as I thought it was?
It doesn't look as insane as you'd expect.
I'm like, yeah, that's a real person.
This is why everyone needs to go to the YouTube channel, the Sota Pod. Subscribe. This is the content you come for. Malkin's face on a baby's body with a bow tie, suspenders, and arm rolls.
His head is the same, just smaller than the rest of the body, like toe to shoulder. That is wow. Okay, holy shit. Oh my god.
It's the content you didn't know you needed, man.
That fucked my life up. But either way, I cannot emphasize enough the fact that, like, not only what I was mentioning before about, like, the first time that they actually went out and got, like, in the draft, a guy that's like, holy shit, like, this could be a potential top 6 center for 20 years in the NHL. And then, like, but even beyond that, the path that he's been on to get to where he is now, it feels crazy that once he overcomes every obstacle possible, has the breakout first full season in the NHL, and is now on pace to, like, almost double that production, regardless of who he's, like, it's been, like, he's just been an incredible story. And, like, in a position that, like, the best players at that position are, like, their overall profile, like, in terms of, like, the build, the style, is just so polar opposite of a lot of what Marco Rossi brings to the table. And yet here he is producing and being a huge part of your success. It just feels crazy to think, like, yeah, and then he's going to get traded at what, 22, 23 years old? Like, it's nuts.
Again, the purpose of this is that I'm trying to change all the juju and make sure he stays.
Yeah, regardless of how we frame it, people will either be on one side or they're, like, angry at us no matter what. But, like,
oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.